Pod, the astronomy podcast for people who are overwhelmed by the universe but want to be its friend.
That's cute, and that's us. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Moiya McTier. I'm an astrophysicist, a folklorist, and a good bud to the universe.
You are. And I'm Corinne Caputo. I'm a writer and a fun person and a friend to the universe for sure.
You are. You are definitely that. Friend to me and to the universe, Corinne. Where are we right now?
Okay, we are at a big dining room table, which sounds silly, but we are talking about a movie today, and I have a lot of feelings about it, but I like the idea of a scene where the whole family's gathered around a dinner table and everyone's being themselves. So the big meal will be later, the family will be arriving later, family and friends, but for now, we're here to record.
The place settings are stunning.
They're gorgeous. And you can probably start smelling the food that they're prepping in the other room.
Mm-hmm. We had it catered. We had this family dinner catered.
Yeah, as they should be. My parents started doing that for Christmas, where they just got like a huge sandwich from like the deli or whatever. And I'm like, that's such a hack.
Oh, I love that. My family for Christmas does, I guess, like a golf style thing where we go to all of the kind of aunts and uncles' houses and they each make a little dish there.
Oh, I love that. That's a great idea.
So we are discussing a movie today where the main character is very caught up with family. That's a big priority of hers. The way I said it made it sound like I disagree with her priorities. Well, and I guess I kind of do, but
I think I didn't fully understand her priorities. So there's a lot, the first watch of this movie, I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Not first watch. I watched it only once, but first, like, if you don't look too deep, you're like, okay, that was a movie. If you look deep at all, it falls apart. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into it. Today, listeners, we're talking about the movie Jupiter Ascending. This was my first time watching it. Corinne, what about you? Same for me. I guess I forgot this ever existed.
Yeah,
missed me.
Someone brought it up in a conversation, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's a space movie. I think we should watch it on Pale Blue Pod.
But what was so funny was that it seemed completely uncurious about space.
Yes.
It wasn't really a space movie at all. I mean, it was, but it just felt like, this really, I don't know, space is like not a main character.
No, it wasn't the main character. It wasn't a space exploration movie where the conflict comes from some space disaster or something. No, it was a movie that just happened to be set in space.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Mostly,
which was interesting. But it's a long movie. I think we should just get into summarizing it probably. It's over 2 hours long.
It's like 2 hours, 7 minutes. I did keep checking how much longer I had left. And I will say my memory towards the end starts to fall apart for it, but I think that will serve our summary well because it won't go on for too long. But as we said, it's like a science fiction space opera directed and written by Lana and Lily Wachowski. I don't know how to say that. Wachowski. Okay. It's a science fiction space opera released in 2015, and the Wachowski siblings created The Matrix. You probably know their names from that. They have described Jupiter Ascending as like Star Wars meets The Matrix, which I think is so funny that you like created an iconic movie that like now other movies that you reference your own iconic movie and describing your next iconic movie.
Right. It's like when a scientist only references their own papers.
Yes,
every time they write a new paper.
That's so funny to me. But the story revolves around Jupiter Jones, played by Mila Kunis. She's this young woman. She's pretty unhappy with her life. She's like never been in love, and she cleans houses for a living, specifically toilets for a living, with her mom and aunt. And she just has said she hates her life, and she gets kind of her wish granted, and she discovers she's this extraordinary part of the universe. So we open on this montage of Jupiter Jones's origin story. She's a Russian immigrant. She's born to an astrophysicist father named Maximilian and an academic mother, though I can't remember her mom's field.
Math,
I think it was. Applied mathematics, that's what it was. They meet in Germany, I believe, and they get married. They're pregnant with Jupiter. One night,
do it in the order. We're told to do it.
The classic order. And one night they're home. He's rubbing her belly with Vaseline, and then suddenly they are robbed. A bunch of armed robbers come in an effort to kind of keep his beloved telescope, Maximilian is killed. Devastating.
Again, the priorities, I'm questioning them.
It was crazy. And her mom, I guess as a result of being widowed, she immigrates to the USA. And Jupiter is born on the ship during that trip. She's born under the night sky, which her family believes is a great destiny or like a sign of greatness. Mm-hmm. And now we cut to her as an adult, as Mila Kunis. And she's wanting to buy a telescope. So she agrees to sell her eggs with this conspiracy she has going with her cousin, which was so... I am not disturbed at all by a woman selling her eggs, but her cousin kind of forcing her into it so that he could buy himself like a television was so disturbing to me.
Yes. Yes, these are my eggs to sell, not yours. Yeah. For my telescope, not your TV.
And she says to him, how come I'm getting $5,000 and you're getting 10? And he was like, capitalism, like the profits roll up or something. And it was like, she's going through a largely like invasive procedure to keep a third of the money. It made me, I was so angry. Anyway, she uses her best friend Catherine's name as a pseudonym at the clinic. And I guess in agreeing, she's at Catherine's house one day. Jupiter and Catherine are attacked by these kind of alien creatures. She's in the closet and she sees through the cracked door that Catherine has been kind of neutralized and put asleep, and these aliens are probing her body and whatever. And she takes a picture on her phone, and then the aliens jump on her, and then we cut to like, okay, clearly their memories have been wiped.
Yeah. In that moment, I wrote, little gray men, really? And we're going with the classic aliens here?
It was weird because they looked so much like some of the Men in Black aliens that I was like, there have to be a trademark on this look. Like, I didn't know we could use this alien again. Anyway, she's at the clinic to get her egg procedure done. And during the procedure, the doctors and nurses are like, they anesthetize her and then like take a probe from her neck the same way that they did to Catherine. And you're like, oh shit, okay, these are not doctors and nurses, these are the aliens again. And
yet another reason not to trust doctors and nurses.
It was so scary to me. On top of everything, now you're like at the gynecologist essentially, which is like so vulnerable. And now they're aliens, so she can't move at all. But suddenly a guy bursts in and he kills all the aliens and whisks her away, and she passes out and she wakes up in his, like, not his lair, but like where he set up shop. She's in clothes now, which she is bothered by because she's like, did you put these clothes on me? We learned that she's saved by Kane Wise, played by Channing Tatum. And he is a former soldier sent by Titus, a son of this powerful family, to bring her to him. So here's the deal with what's going on with this powerful universal family. So in this world, the Earth and other planets, we learn, were created by families of like advanced humans and alien royalty. And we learn to like harvest organisms, which are people, to produce a youth serum for the rich. So after the matriarch of the House of Abraxas, the matriarch passes away. It's the most powerful alien dynasty, so she leaves her children behind, Belem, Kalik, and Titus. And those three siblings are fighting over their inheritance. So Belem takes control of the business empire. Kalik, the daughter, receives like a planet, and Titus buys this like luxury spaceship. And none of them, though, are named sovereign of Abraxas. So none of them are getting the full package of what their mother's leaving behind. So they're titled like
there are very interesting inheritance laws in this world.
And boy, will we get to the weird bureaucracies. So they're called the first, second, and third primaries. And Kane, Channing Tatum, explains most of this to Jupiter, and he takes her to his old buddy / enemy's house. They have history, kind of in the middle of nowhere in a cornfield. And this house is covered in bees. There are bees everywhere, and they start to swarm on Mila Kunis.
Yes.
Jupiter. And she notices that if she moves her arms, the bees will flow the way of that. She has no control over the bees. They're just, she's noticing there's some interaction with her. They all start calling her the Queen, Your Majesty, and it becomes clear that Mila Kunis is some powerful person.
Mm-hmm. And, quote, bees are genetically designed to recognize royalty, apparently across species.
Oh my God. That was so weird. That was so weird. And I'm like, you're telling me you couldn't have shown me this in the opening scene where she has some kind of like interaction with bees? And she's always been like, bees are my best friends. They're obsessed with me. No, we didn't see that at all. Nope. Every event seemed unconnected to the event we'll get into that in my peeves. But
they were telling, not showing too much.
Yeah. And then they all start calling her the queen. Suddenly she's being chased by these two cool looking people who we'd seen in the beginning. They kidnap her and take Jupiter to Calic's home. So now we're at the daughter's house.
She's kidnapped so many times.
She is kidnapped so many times. And she doesn't seem scared. She's just like, and now I'm here.
Maybe she's just completely desensitized. Like, she's learned that there are aliens, that humans can be harvested for basically the elixir of life, and that she's a queen all in like one day.
Yeah, it's really odd because at one point she gets a phone call from her cousin who was like, hey, did you do the egg retrieval? He'd already bought the TV. And she was like, it didn't happen. But she never gets a call from her mom. She never calls her mom. And like, she must be gone for months or like, I don't know, just a while.
A while. Although they don't give much sense of time in the movie at all.
They really don't. And the aliens have an ability to like wipe your memory. So I feel like even if a lot of time was passing, perhaps on Earth, they wouldn't experience it that way. I don't know.
Oh, good
like
point.
There's an early fight before Cain takes Jupiter to his friend/enemy's house. They blow up the city of Chicago, essentially. There's this big laser gun battle through Chicago. And you're like, how could this be happening in the city and no one knows? And he explains that they can wipe the memories and the people who they don't wipe are never believed anyway. And she sees the buildings getting repaired instantly. So I was like, what are the stakes here? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a weird setup.
Now she's at daughter Calic's house. And luckily Cain like tails the ship and is able to get there too. And there Jupiter learns this extremely bizarre news that she is the genetic reincarnation of the Abrasic's mother. And therefore she is the rightful heir to Earth. And her genetic signature gives her like legal claim to the planet. And that is why all the siblings are after her. How she is the genetic heir makes zero sense to me because it is impossible. There's no explanation that, like, you know, we planted her. She was like a fertilized egg we created and grew. It's just true randomness. Certainly, if enough humans are born, one of them will be the genetic heir. And it's like, well, that's not how that works.
Right. Across all of these different planets that they've seeded human DNA on, which leads me to believe that there are other genetic reincarnations out there.
Right. Like, and it just doesn't make sense that, like, okay, is her dad royal and her mom royal?
No,
and
it's like, not hereditary.
Exactly. So the whole thing was so weird. And Mila Kunis is kind of sort of understanding this. She's accepting it. She's in a beautiful purple dress this whole time. Then Calic, who looks great, gets in this pool of water and she emerges younger. Like flawless skin, hair, slightly different color, like slightly younger. And we learn that there's an industry that sells this magic youth elixir, and that is, it buys you time. You get to stay alive for longer. And we learn that Calic has been around for 14,000 years. So this is interesting to Mila Kunis. She kind of doesn't really feel one way or the other about it. And then this is the moment, I'm forgetting if there's a transition scene here, but I'm pretty sure this is where we launch into this huge montage where we're basically at the DMV.
Yes. So Calic, I think, urges her to officially accept her title.
Yes.
So that she can have access to all of the mother's inheritances and privileges.
And we go to the DMV for space. And before she's being treated like royalty, everyone's like, how can I make you more comfortable? How can I do this? How can I do that? And now she's just in line with all of these other alien species, and she's getting her passport stamped. They're telling her all the paperwork she needs. She's getting sent to the next office, and then the next office, and then the next, and she has to go back to the first office, and it's a whole kind of humorous, maybe it was the intent. I thought it was weird and out of place, but we'll see. Ultimately, this lands her a new tattoo on her wrist, which is kind of like her mark of being holding the title to Earth. As they leave, she tells Kane, and she'd already kind of told him this before, but she does love him and wants to be with him, and he is now having a harder time with it because she's the queen, and he's just this kind of... He comes from, I think he said wolves, but he also has angel wings.
Oh, yeah. So in this world, there's a lot of genetic splicing where they have mixed the DNA of different animals with the DNA of humans to create these little subspecies. And he's they don't call it a lycanthrope, but like lichen something.
Yeah. And
lycantent, maybe. And so he's part wolf.
And he's without a pack right now.
Yes, because wolves need their pack. But I think he had extra genetic splicing done because of a role that he had as a skyjacker.
Right.
So he was given wings.
And side note, his kind of big power until he might get his wings restored is that he has these boots that can surf the air. Mm-hmm. So he's surfing through the air quite a bit.
Yes. There's a line, we'll get to it in my peeps, but there's a line about gravity that will be discussed.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. So as they are about to kiss, they're descended on by Brother Titus's team because she hasn't visited him yet. Titus whisks her away to his ship, and he locks up Kane in like a jail cell and explains to Jupiter that he has always been this good brother and he wants to follow in the ways of his mother. And his mother actually died because she discovered that the way they were creating this youth elixir was by harvesting humans. And I think 100 humans yields you like 1 jar of this elixir, which is a crazy ratio. I mean,
although she must have known. So it's just that she got uncomfortable with it.
Yeah. And then because he kind of turns on Jupiter, I'm not even sure if I believe that story.
Right.
So he tells Jupiter this, and he's like, the only way to prevent this from happening is if you and I get married and together we own the title for Earth and we make sure that we keep Earth protected forever, which also was weird. Because Jupiter's his mother.
Yes, but Jupiter's not his mother. She's just the same combination.
Just the same genetic makeup of his mother. And
but not identical.
Yeah, it's weird. And
also another example of how marriage and monogamy really benefits men.
Yeah.
More than women.
She has to share her stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then there's a wedding. Or almost a wedding. And he keeps telling her, it's all formality. It's not a real wedding. It's all... And I'm like, well, then why didn't you just do the formality? Why didn't you just sign the paperwork? Why stage this wedding at all?
Because the wedding is also... It's written in the rules, Corinne.
Yeah, of course.
We have to have this many people witnessing us, except they're not actual people, he claims. They're just bots.
Yeah. What were they? They were...
I don't trust a thing that man says.
No way. You can't. He tries to gain control of her inheritance. Kane is eventually able to break free of his jail cell with the help of his former friend. And now we're back on Earth for a scene. And there have been these winged dinosaur minions
dragons.
For a while. Dragons.
They're dragons.
I don't know why I forgot that word. There have been these dragons that are like the minions to the oldest brother, Belem. And they descend on Jupiter's family home, much like the home we're in right now, and kidnap her mother. They bring her back to, now we're on planet Jupiter. We barely talk about the planet Jupiter. And on Io, actually, and the moon.
No, they're in Jupiter. They're in Jupiter's atmosphere in the Great Red Spot.
Oh, why did I think they were on the moon? Okay, never mind. We're in the Great Red Spot. I remember that montage. We went through all the layers of the atmosphere. He is trying to kill Jupiter's mom, and she is begging him to stop. And this is where the climactic battle happens. And there were many long fight scenes. Ultimately, Belem is defeated, and she saves her family.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a scene where Kane gets thrown out of an airlock that came earlier, but we'll get to that in my peeves. But ultimately, she wins.
Yes.
And what does she do at the end of this film? She goes back to cleaning houses.
Mm-hmm.
She returns to Earth and chooses to continue her ordinary life while having this secret ownership over the planet. Supposedly, I imagine she has like a newfound sense of purpose. She suddenly wakes up early with ease before she gets to the cleaning homes, but it's a little secret that she is the keeper of the Earth, and she and Kane meet up on the roof, and his wings are restored, and they're in love together, and now she gets to wear the surfing boots.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a dream, but it felt like it for me.
Yeah, there was that moment in the last scene where someone hits the alarm clock really early, and I really thought they were going to set it up to all be a dream.
Because
which
they
would have been more
about,
satisfying.
That would have been a lot more satisfying. They did talk about how, like, you know, tercies is what they call, like, terrestrials, people who live on Earth. Once they find out about the greater beings of the galaxies, they think it's a dream. Mm-hmm, so that would have made sense thematically.
Yeah, no, instead we just got a really kind of, in my opinion, underwhelming ending that left so many questions unanswered. And I did hear that maybe it was supposed to be part of a larger series of movies.
Based on how it ended, I would believe that it's like, now she's a superhero and like she's going to wait for the bat signal to go out again and then she'll protect the Earth.
But I don't know what she would be protecting them from.
Me
because
neither.
No one can come and fight against her ownership of the Earth. It doesn't make any sense. It also didn't address the fact that Earth is one of ostensibly thousands of planets that she now owns.
Yes.
They never tried to tell her what other assets she has. They never tried to like let her visit her other ownings. Like none of that.
Yeah. And I was blaming that on, in the beginning when the siblings first meet up, they're talking about what their mother has left them and how she loved Earth the most. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, Earth is just the most important of these assets.
Maybe the biggest. We are one of the biggest planets you can have without becoming a gas planet instead of a rocky planet. So maybe most of the other farming planets they have are smaller, so this is just a good investment. But either way, I feel like they left a lot unsaid and unshown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you don't have to explicitly explore everything for me, but don't leave me completely clueless as to the rest of this world.
Yeah. When you leave me completely clueless, you're telling me that this is the most important story to be telling in this universe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if this is the most important story, this is kind of a boring place.
Agreed. Could not agree more.
Yeah, I had a hard time finding thieves for this, but I have plenty of peeves.
Okay, let's get into the peeves. What pissed you off about this movie, Corinne?
Okay, the first thing I wrote was that Channing Tatum was blonde or rust-colored hair or red.
Yeah, they didn't need to do that.
I didn't know what color his hair was, and I don't know if it helped at all that he was that color.
What an iconic first peeve. Yeah. In general, the like appearances were off. This is not personally one of my peeves, but I told a neuroscientist friend that I would be watching this movie, and he said, "Oh, the genetics in that are awful. Like, you just be ready to really hate how the genes are done." And I was like, "Okay, well, I don't know much."
I like that multiple
anyway.
fields were put off by this movie. Like, we got the neuroscientists, the astrophysicists.
I actually didn't hate the astro in this movie.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. I was pretty impressed by it for what the movie clearly was and was not. But that was someone else's peeve that I wanted to share with you. My first peeve was, I guess, in general, how Jupiter doesn't question what's going on around her enough.
Yeah.
When she's first kidnapped by Titus and taken to his fancy spaceship, she knows the rules of entitlement enough to be like, you've kidnapped me and you've broken this specific law with its number code.
She only referenced that once. And I was like, okay, so you're obsessed with the rules of the world.
Right. where is that same curiosity and obsession and
for
competence, really, for anything else? Why did she not insist on seeing the rules for getting married in this world before almost marrying her son?
You're right.
Why doesn't she negotiate any of the terms in these deals? Like at the end when Balaam sends like his little rat henchman to come collect her and bring her to Jupiter, why didn't she insist that Cain come with her?
That's
and
a great
the rest
question.
of them can follow. She just went along with every single deal offered.
Yeah. Everything, yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. It made me so mad. Especially when you've shown me that she can question the rules and learn how to use them to her advantage.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of her personality was different scene to scene. And that was just weird.
Weird.
Okay, should I go thief or peef?
We'll do all the peeves and then we'll do all the thieves.
Okay. So she wants to buy a telescope in the beginning. That's kind of why she's selling her eggs. And her dad was obsessed with telescopes in space, and her dad wanted to name her Jupiter. And yet all of those facts were completely unrelated to her being the heir to Earth. It did not matter that she had an interest in space. And it did not matter that her dad was this astrophysicist who was murdered. It was just that was all circumstance or coincidence, and none of it mattered for the story. I'm like, you could have told me her dad was a royal, those robbers were staged, they were going to kill him no matter what, they tried to convince the mom. You could have told me that, like, she's always been obsessed with the stars and how the lightning bugs always dance around her, and it's been a big secret. You could have told me that she's always had, like, there's one little power she has at some point, or she's just clever or something. And I'm like, well, you should have showed me how that has helped her clean toilets her whole life. And like, she's never, it's always been a secret from her mom because it's like a little quirk. Just like, make me believe that she's actually special, because I did not believe she was special. And there was no refusal of the call, quote unquote, in the hero's journey. She's just given this life and she's all the way in because she wanted that so badly, says no never, and then in the end, she's not changed. I guess she kind of appreciates her life. That's the turn. It was just like, none of this matters for the next scene. So your logical brain is just so angry.
I didn't pinpoint it, and I couldn't have articulated it that well. Because, that's spot on. They didn't connect her to the context of the story around her. Yeah. She's just dropped in and accepts all of it.
And it feels like an easy fix. I mean, that's so easy to say, like, not the writer of this, but like, it feels like, okay, in that opening montage of her as a kid, make her fantastical or magical or important, or make her dad, he knew about the aliens, or like, I don't know, just give me motivation for it.
That's so spot on. And if she was so interested in astronomy to the point where she was going to sell her eggs to buy a telescope, you would think she would enjoy traveling through space more. You would think there'd be just like one other moment where she's like staring out the window, amazed at all the stars, or amazed at seeing Jupiter up that close.
Thank God that never happened. Even if it was her being like, they needed to take a shortcut through space and they made up that she like knows the stars enough that she knows a road or something. You know what I mean? Like, make it up. This is fiction. But like, make her ordinary life useful now.
Yes.
And that didn't happen.
That's a good peeve. I second that heavy. My next peeve is the line that Cain says when he's first explaining the gravity boots.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I think I know the line, but I'm curious if it's the line I'm remembering.
I rewound this 5 times. I'm not exaggerating. I rewound it 5 times just to make sure that that's actually what he was saying.
Wait, is it? Can I see if I remember it?
Yeah.
Is it when he goes, up is easy, down is hard?
No, it's what he says before that, but that's also so dumb because that's just how...
or whatever he said. Maybe it was inverse, but I remember being like...
I think it was inverse. I think he said up is hard, down is easy. And in my head, I'm like, that's how gravity already works.
Yeah.
No, earlier when he explains it in quote-unquote science speak, and then she's confused, so he says the other thing. The line is that the boots, quote, redirect gravity into differential equation slopes.
Yeah,
you cannot use math to actually manipulate physical forces in the real world.
So weird.
Math describes these physical forces. We solve and come up with differential equations to describe gravity fields, and those equations have certain slopes to them. But just because you manipulate an equation to give it a different slope does not mean that that explains how you're actually manipulating gravity.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That was hard for me.
So weird. And I think I felt frustrated by the boots because there seemed to be so much technology in this world that I was like, why is this what you would use here?
Yeah. And that they're not anti-gravity boots. They're like
surfing shoes, apparently.
Surfing shoes. Yeah, and even they explained it poorly and ineffectively.
Yep.
Like, just nothing about it makes sense. And I don't understand it well enough to even really pick at it.
Yeah.
Because they tried to explain it, but failed so hard.
Yeah, totally. It's like the whole thing is wrong. It's not like a piece of it was. Mm-hmm. Totally. All right. Well, I mentioned how much I didn't like he married his mom. And I mentioned that the selling of the eggs was disturbing. So we can go to... There's a scene where Kane gets ejected into space by Titus, the brother, the youngest brother. And he's just completely raw out there. No, he just got shot out. He doesn't explode. He doesn't freeze. Nothing happens.
That's good, though.
It's good.
You would last several minutes out in the vacuum of space.
Okay, that's scary to me.
Yes.
What I didn't like was that he just seemed to grab one of the pieces of debris near him, and it suddenly became a suit.
Yeah. I actually liked that. That was one of my thieves.
I was confused, like what luck he had.
So he's in this air compression chamber before he gets kicked out, and I think it would make total sense for a ship to be designed with these survival suits in the air compression chamber.
Everything in that room got sent out.
Well, no, he kicked it.
Oh, yeah.
As he was being sent out, he kicked the wall and released a bunch of the packs with him.
Okay. Well, still a peeve.
Fair. I will say that in general, aside from the boots, the technology was one of my thieves. I really liked that space exposure suit idea, and I liked their cloaking technology and whatever form of faster than light travel they had.
Yeah, the ships were really interesting to me. Well,
sorry to dismiss your peeve.
No, it's totally fine. I was just like, that guy should be dead.
I love that because it does push against a common misconception about space. You don't freeze or explode right away. It takes several minutes for the heat to leach away because there's less material that's conducting the heat away from your skin when you're out in the vacuum of space. So you actually can hold on to your heat for a while. It's the pressure that's going to cause a problem. And I was checking to see if he was like getting kind of puffy or if some of his blood vessels were popping, and I couldn't see that fine of detail. But that's not necessary for me. Also, maybe they could say with the genetic splicing, he's better attuned to it.
With his wolf DNA.
Yeah. Honestly, if I were a spacefaring civilization with the ability to splice DNA, I would make it so that everyone was better at handling low temperatures and pressures.
For sure.
It's funny that you mentioned the ships and how cool they are. I agree, but I think that this movie needed to do more to visually distinguish the architecture styles for the different sides because their ships look too similar, and I couldn't tell them apart during the big fight scenes.
That is such a great point. I was really having to remind myself which sibling, was the boss of which creature. Mm-hmm. It was very challenging, even if they wore a color or something.
Exactly. There's a reason we signpost these things in fiction. It's not because an audience is lazy. It's because in a fast-paced action movie, you need easier ways to see which side people are on.
That shortcut wasn't there for me either. Because I was just getting in the cornfield when those two other people come in and take her away, it was intentionally like a little mysterious, and then you figure it out. But there were just a number of moments where I needed to remind myself what everyone's motivation was.
Yeah. Don't make your audience do that much work when you're already dealing with a kind of complex storyline for over 2 hours. Oh my God. Another one of my peeves is that it was just too long.
It was way too long. Every action scene was too long, and
there were too many.
And it wasn't giving me good stuff. Like, you could be that long if it's good.
Yeah, it was extra stuff without much substance.
Yeah. I have a peeve that was inspired by that, but was on my list, which was, I forget what was in it for the sister. I was having a hard time understanding why she was part of this. Because she wasn't explicitly being like, look, my brothers are going to take advantage of you. Don't let them. Mm-hmm. And yet she also wasn't like, I'm also going to take advantage of you.
Oh, yeah. If anything, she got her title.
Right. Which maybe was the thing where she is actually good and wanted her to claim it.
Yeah. Or maybe she wanted to be the one in this generation who's closer to her mom.
Yeah. She did say that her relationship wasn't great. And now this is a chance to like do it again.
Yeah. But we shouldn't have to guess like this.
Yes. Agree.
Okay, my final peeve is that throughout the movie, there are too many last-minute rescues. At the wedding ceremony, every single time she's kidnapped, right at the beginning when she's at the gynecology appointment. Like, every time there is danger, he swoops in literally at the last second. The number of times he caught her while she was falling through the air, once or twice, I get it. You're setting up a pattern. You're making it believable that she would fall in love with this man who saved her in high adrenaline situations. I get it. Yeah. But like 5 times?
Come on.
It
happened all the time. It was crazy. That's just how I expected a scene to end.
Yeah. Pretty lazy, if you ask me.
My final peeve is that too many times someone had their gun like pointed at someone and then like was talked into lowering it. And I was just like, what? We can't do this in every scene.
They clearly fell into some ruts as they were writing this, where I don't know if they wrote down too many scenes in the brainstorming session and then couldn't kill any of their darlings, but it was bloated.
The whole thing felt rushed, and I know the Wachowskis are capable of better than this. The Matrix is airtight. It is so good. The first one. I can't speak for the others, but it rocked, and I was disappointed.
Yeah. Oh, well. We are not going to end on a sour note. No. We have good things to say about this movie. I think I might have more than Corinne.
I literally have 2.
Okay, then I can start. My first thief of my heart is that Jupiter, the planet, looked pretty good. And
that's true. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous.
All of the outer space shots, I think, looked pretty good. And I wrote a note when I was watching it and I saw Jupiter for the first time. I was like, did this movie come out before Juno, before the Juno spacecraft reached Jupiter? And it did. The movie came out in 2015. The Juno spacecraft didn't reach Jupiter until July 4th, 2016. So they're doing this before we got like the best data that we have on Jupiter. But even not just the shots from outside of the planet, but inside. You know, they had cool demonstrations of lightning in Jupiter's outer atmosphere with the storm at the big red spot. And I don't know if this is canon, but I did kind of get it into my head. My head canon is that the Great Red Spot was artificially created by Belem to protect his ship.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Like, it would be great cover.
Yeah.
At the very end, when Kane is coming in to rescue Jupiter from Belem, when she's inside the atmosphere of Jupiter, he crashes through the outer shell of Belem's ship. And I was hoping that there would be some consequences. Because he crashes through and then he just like continues on his journey. But then there were consequences, which is really great because the pressures, the temperatures in Jupiter are so extreme that any one hole should, in like the casing for their environment, should completely cascade into a failure.
Totally.
I was pleased with that. I think that from a conceptual standpoint, they did all of the stuff with Jupiter's atmosphere that I would need them to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I like hearing that. I do remember thinking the graphics for, as we like went through Jupiter, were really cool.
Yeah.
All right. My thief of my heart is in kind of in the beginning, the first third. Eddie Redmayne plays Belem. He won an Oscar. The year this movie came out, he won an Oscar for The Theory of Everything.
Okay.
And on that same night, he won a Razzie for his role in this movie.
He is so good at playing a little freak. That's like a scary weirdo.
So he won, I just think it's so funny, he won the Best Acting Award and the worst.
Oh, is that what a Razzie is?
Oh, yeah. Razzies are like, I mean, I think they're mean-spirited, but they're like, you know, awarding the worst movie of the year, the worst actor of the year. So he won harsh. In the same year. He won both.
Look, we all contain multitudes. That's fine.
Exactly. But Eddie Redmayne as Belem yells in the first third of this movie, "Go," to one of his hideous dragon minions, and it was so funny how he said it. It was this weird like shriek of a go. And later I was reading other reviews for this movie, and they also cited that moment, and I was like, yes, it was crazy.
You have good taste if you can pick out the same go.
Yeah. But it really made me laugh when he did it, so that was a moment of joy for me.
Yeah, his performance was something to watch.
It was something.
I'll admit I watched a lot of this movie while I was cooking dinner.
Sure.
And
makes sense.
His scenes would often pull me out of my cooking focus because his whisper was so spooky.
It was so spooky. He was so... Yeah. There's a moment where he like goes back to watch the scene of Jupiter getting like probed by the aliens at the clinic, and he so creepy whispers to her, and I was like, oh my God, this man is so good at being freaky.
Yeah, that's a thief for sure. I appreciate good acting. I said the thief about the space travel technology, the cloaking, and the space exposure packs. So my next thief is similar. I don't know what their faster than light travel mechanism is, but it looked kind of like they were maybe opening up wormholes because they like open a portal, they call it, and then they travel very far.
Yes.
And I liked the graphic effect that they went with when the portals were opening, at least from the other end. I'm thinking of one specific scene where you're like in deep space, and in the blackness it looks like little lights starting to swirl together and coalesce, kind of like how galaxies first form and how accretion disks form around black holes.
Yeah. And
I like that from a theoretical standpoint because, you know, potentially wormholes and black holes, which are both points of like high energy and high density, can maybe be related. And so it seemed to me like they could have been interpreted as saying that their travel technology is based on actual gravitational physics in the universe.
That would be cool.
It would be cool. They probably weren't thinking that, and I'm giving them more credit. But I like to give movies the benefit of the doubt.
You should. Maybe there was one person who was like, you know what would be fun?
You know what would make this whole discipline very happy? Yeah. Okay, was that all of your thieves?
I have one more, which is that I really liked the tattoo she got for owning Earth. She gets this weird holographic glitter tattoo on her inner wrist that is like kind of her, I don't know, deed, I guess, to the planet. And I don't know if only she can see it, because there is a moment at the end when she's like cleaning again and she kind of sees it and smiles. And I can't imagine hiding that from your family and friends. But I thought it was cute and a nice, in the kind of, if this was like, it was all a dream, and yet she woke up with that tattoo, which is not what happened in the story. But I think I like that cute element of like a little souvenir from your mission.
Yeah, like it's proof you were not dreaming. We didn't mess with your memory in that way, at least. Do you have tattoos?
I do. I have 3.
You have 3. Okay. I was going to ask if a tattoo being holographic in that way would sway you.
I don't think I would want that. I think I would be like, I think I would get tired of it. I don't know. Would it last if it was?
I don't know. Like they have some alien technology.
It did. She did like put it in this little steampunk looking machine, and it like did a thing. I have 3 tattoos, but 2 of them are on the back of my arm, so I can't see them. And I really like having tattoos that I only see like sometimes in the mirror. Oh,
nice. I have 2 that are hard to see. Mm-hmm. And I hate it. I want to see. I want to see them more. Yeah, especially because one of them is one that I always get compliments on. It's on the back of my neck, and I can't see.
You
it.
never see it. Yeah.
I have 15, and I think I would love to add a holographic one to the collection.
Let's get you to that DMV because apparently they're giving them out.
Let's do it. Okay, my last thief is a couple times throughout the movie they reference places in the galaxy or the universe. I actually am not sure how far they're traveling, but those places aren't real space names, and I love that because as you move further, first of all, they're not humans on Earth. They wouldn't have had the same names for things, but as you get further away, you're in regions that we as Earthlings aren't even trying to define. So I can't remember. I think they say that like Titus's ship is on the outskirts of the Cleopides or something.
Yes, I do remember that. The
Cleopides, yes.
I heard that word too, and I was like, that's like a good word.
I know. I love that they didn't use existing space names because that sounds so much like the Pleiades, right?
Yes.
But they used words that are kind of in line with how we name space things, so it was clearly recognizable.
Yes, 100%. I think that was very cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Those are all of my thieves. Have we covered all of your peeves and thieves?
I think so. You know, the tattoo moment reminded me that when the little kind of person who was working the DMV gave her the tattoo, at the end he says, like, here's everything you need, like, congratulations and my condolences.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm like, what? Why was he saying that?
Oh, I think he knew for sure she was about to get kidnapped and exploited.
Oh, okay.
Because she got kidnapped almost immediately.
She did almost get kidnapped. She did. But I thought it was more directly related to like some kind of loss or some kind of like, you know, someone you love is about to die or something. I don't know. I was reading into it. Everything was confusing.
It was late. Like no matter what time you started this movie, it was late when you finished it.
That's such a good way to put it. All right, let's rate it.
Yes. We have this very sophisticated rubric system where we will score the movie in 5 different categories, from 1 to 3. What do we want to rate it out of?
B's.
Queens?
Queens, yeah.
Okay. So in each of the 5 categories, we will give a score from 0 to 3 queens. And the 5 categories are story. So is it a good narrative? And then scenery, which is writing and production, the whole kind of behind the scenes work. Then steaminess, which is always an interesting category. Then scientific accuracy, followed by the all-important soothing factor. How does this movie make us feel about the universe? So let's start with story.
1?
Corinne. 1 queen. Yeah. Because it's too long and unconnected.
It was very long and it felt unconnected. Like I did not care at all about anyone involved.
Yeah. Yeah. I will not argue with you there. 1 is the most I probably would have given it. What about scenery, which is writing and production?
I feel like for this movie, I need to think of them separately because I thought the writing was like not solid at all. But the production was like, okay, I guess scene to scene, there's like a rich world here.
It is very pretty.
Yeah. Some of the fight scenes were like very simple and like not like maybe it's because we live in like the land of Marvel now, but like we're certainly doing more complicated action sequences today.
I mean, even in shows like Xena and Buffy, they were having fantastic fight scenes. You can have them without going big on the graphics. But maybe a 2?
I'm down for a 2.
Okay. Yeah, seems kind of middle of the road. I really liked how it looked. And I think if you aren't paying really close attention to this movie, if it's something that's on in the background while you're doing other things, then it's great because you look up and at any given moment, you're going to see something nice. But if you're always paying attention to it, no matter how nice it looks, it's still kind of exhausting to get through.
Yeah, I got really burnt out towards the end of this movie. I had 40 minutes left, and I was like, this is going to be hard.
Okay, so middle of the road score there. Steaminess. How appropriate was the level of romance in this movie?
I felt like it wasn't romantic at all. And then there were 2 scenes where it was I'm in love with you, by the way. And I wanted more flirtation or some kind of slow roll into the full-blown,
yes,
I'm obsessed with you.
Yes. I am such a big fan of the guardian to lovers trope.
Yeah.
It gets me every time. And if they had adjusted the ratio of this movie so that some of those action scenes were instead little tension building moments of them not wanting to make eye contact with each other or a furtive touch and glance, something.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So the steaminess for me was low.
Yeah, there could have been more of it, and it could have been better motivated.
Yeah.
So, a 1.5?
1.5 is fine with me.
1.5 to steaminess. Now, for scientific accuracy, I do have to look over to my siblings in the genetics discipline.
Yeah, sure.
That's taking off at least a point. At least one queen is being
100%.
Beheaded because of science. I did like how they showed Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're unexplained. The assumptions that I'm making about their faster than light travel are good. But overall, to me, this is maybe a 1.5 or 2. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I default to you for scientific accuracy, but the gravity boots alone felt like it's going to deduct a lot.
You're right. I forgot about the differential equation slopes. So we're going to go with 1.5 there. And the soothing factor. Does this movie make you feel safe and comforted about the universe?
I mean, it's weird because I never really felt that scared of it. Maybe because I just wasn't fully bought in. But the harvesting stuff, I was like, I ain't worried. It was just this is going to be nothing. I was disturbed more by the egg harvesting.
So the thing that people do every day.
The real life stuff. But yeah, I didn't feel calm, but I didn't stay up at night.
Okay. My favorite sci-fi franchise is Stargate, including Stargate Atlantis, where they have the Wraith, who kind of do the same thing of farming humans and then feeding off of their life force.
Sure.
So that didn't bother me as much as the implication that aliens are extremely active in our world. That they are erasing people's memories, that they're rebuilding destroyed cities without us noticing, that they could be in your doctor's office
I
cloaked.
didn't think about that. That was super creepy to me.
That's creepy.
Of the nurses are suddenly talking about you, and then it turns out they're wearing human suits.
So for me, if this movie were in any way accurate, I would be so terrified. So a 1.
Totally. I think 1 is fine.
Okay. Would you give it less?
I don't think I would give it less.
Because this movie also says that, there's a chance you could be a long lost alien queen. You could get the love of your life, who's part wolf and part angel, and as a fantasy romance aficionado, that's the dream. That 100%. End scene of him
with wrapping the wings around her, I know.
I would die happily if that happened to me. So
it's giving 1.
It's giving 1. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad we reached that consensus, which means 3, 5, 7. We've given the movie Jupiter's Ascending 7 queens.
That's a lucky number to some.
It is. It got a 40-ish something percent.
Yeah.
It failed.
Failing,
that's a failing grade.
It's higher than the Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie.
Oh, what's the split?
The Rotten Tomatoes score is 28.
Okay, that's a solid almost 20-point difference. So
yeah, so great job.
Right. We are not too mean.
And I think it's almost time for us to eat around the table, just like Jupiter's family does,
yes.
for better or worse, because they did seem like a mixed bag of people.
Right, as many families are. Hopefully no dragons will attack.
But wherever you are, I hope you remember that you're space.
There you are. Pale Blue Pod was created by Moiya McTier and Corinne Caputo with help from the Multitude Productions team. Our theme music is by Evan Johnston, and our cover art is by Shay McMullen. Our audio editing is handled by the incomparable Misha Stanton.
Stay in touch with us and the universe by following @PaleBluePod on Twitter and Instagram, or check out our website, palebluepod.com. We're a member of Multitude, an independent podcast collective and production studio. If you like Pale Blue Pod, you will love the other shows that live on our website at multitude.productions.
If you want to support Pale Blue Pod financially, join our community over at patreon.com/palebluepod. For just about $1 per episode, you get a shout out on one of our shows and access to director's commentary for each episode. The very best way, though, to help Pale Blue Pod grow is to share it with your friends. So send this episode, this link, to one person who you think will like it, and we will appreciate you for forever.
Thanks for listening to Pale Blue Pod. You'll hear us again next week.
Bye.